Okay, let's do this. Welcome back. Let's do a Christmas Eve chess game. Why not? I might actually do several Christmas Eve and Christmas chess games because this is one of our gifts is learning how to play chess. So it's my Christmas present to all of you. This particular game is an actually fascinating game that I'm I'm boggled at how they played. It's a simultaneous, and I don't know how many dozens of games Horowitz, I.A. Horowitz, was playing in this game. He did a massive, huge book on chess openings. I've got my copy here years ago, Chess Openings Theory and Practice. And that is, I suspect it's a little older, so it probably doesn't have some of the modern variations, but what an exquisite tool. He's playing a gentleman named Corrigan. Horowitz is playing white. What I want to show in this game is how we can see better moves to improve our games. And that's what makes this game so fantastically interesting. So it is a Sicilian. We're doing a Sicilian. And he, of course, brings the knight and then d6, absolutely. And now d4, fundamentally so. And the c will take the d4, and the knight will take the d4, standard, typical Sicilian. And now knight f6. So we're getting through kind of a book opening, and there's nothing wrong with book openings. In fact, these have hundreds of years behind them with theory built up. So you want to learn your openings and learn them well as you have time. G6. Now, I just want to point out once again, and I like pointing this out because when it really sunk in my mind how effective this is for a potential tool for us in our games. If our opponent does not play it correctly, then let's keep this in mind. You bump the G pawn, and of course, you're going to fiend kettle the bishop. That's the purpose. But in the process, you weaken dark squares, these two especially. When the pawn is here, he's covered and he covers. When he bumps up, that's open season. Those are weak squares, just to stay aware of that. Now, the bishop does compensate for those weak squares. However, if the bishop is exchanged or lost, then there's a weakness in your opponent's camp that you will want to zero in on and utilize to your benefit. Just pointing that out. And now, so Horowitz, and I know Ben Feingold, the grandmaster over at the St. Louis Chess Club. I love that guy. His humor is so dry and so hilarious, and he's a genius chess player. I love watching him. He says, "Don't ever push the F pawn. Don't ever push the F pawn. Don't do it. It's bad." And the reason why, of course, it opens up this diagonal to the king. If you bump this pawn up, get rid of this knight, put this knight somewhere and relocate him. Uh-oh, my heat came on. Sorry. I forgot to turn it down. Darn it. I hope that doesn't interfere too much. I think my chess computer or my computer does tone down that noise, but criminy. Every time I go to do a chess game, something happens. Welcome to life. So once the knight is relocated and once the pawn is pushed, then the queen out to h4 is really nasty bad. At this point, early enough, you've got the g3 for sure, but just be aware that the downside of pushing the f pawn so early is this is the weakest square on the white side, just like it is on the black side all the way across here. That's why the Italian game works so well against black, because that weakness is always attacked. That's the famous or infamous, if you will, scholar's checkmate, the 4-move checkmate. You bring the queen, you bring the bishop, and you zip down there and go checkmate your opponent. It's a ridiculous opening, but it happens all the time. So we just want to be aware. Now, pushing f4, the benefit of that, of course, is gaining more space and putting two attackers of the pawns up forward so that he can manipulate and goof up the king side if black chooses to castle. So that's not a bad move, is what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, he will fiend Keto. Yes, he does bring his bishop out. And now immediately, now Horowitz was one of the much stronger players, and he proceeds. Now, what's the advantage? And I get it. I've said this before, and I will never stop saying it. The development, we are early in the game, so the pieces are not out yet. On the other hand, there is a very good option which gives you even greater space, and that is what he does, is he goes ahead and pushes to e5, attacking the knight. Now, in a fianchettoed kingside castling view, the knight is quite strong. It's a good defender, as that bishop is. So attacking that knight makes sense. I agree, it's somewhat early in the game, but nothing is developed out here in the field that is going to attack White's king just yet. There's no real, he's not developed enough, and so the push happens. I'm just saying, that's why he felt justified in pushing the e5. He's not lamely going pawn hunting. He is attempting to get rid of one of the guardians of the castled king that is going to castle shortly. That's how fast Horowitz is moving. He's already attacking before the king has even gotten a chance to get into the fort. That's kind of interesting. So yes, the D will take the E, of course. And yes, the F will take the E, of course. Now this opens up the F file. It also still attacks the knight. So the knight finds a square on D5. Now that's a good centralization place. Notice the knight did not go back here. If you can at all help it, don't ever go back to the original square. No. Now, there are times in some openings that you do want to relocate the knight. This wouldn't be a permanent place for the knight. Of course not, because you're blocking in your bishop and potentially your other knight, and you want to speedily develop. However, in some situations, bringing the knight here so that he can occupy c5 is very strategically good. There's always so many options, right? So for now, Kerrigan went to d5. Good centralization. Not permanent, but good centralization. Developing with tempo. This is a very important key that Horowitz does in this game. Develop with tempo means he found a really good forcing move. He brings up a piece in development, checking the king. So this helps prepare him to castle, and it helps prevent black from castling. Now, it is here that black makes his first bad error, and what I want to do is point out the faultiness of black's play. I get it, he's probably realistically an amateur, but he is playing decent chess, so he's obviously got chess skills. However, this one is not good. King f8. He moves the king, he loses castling rights. The thing that's interesting about this move, it is not even necessary. He did not have to move that way. Now, the downside for the rest of the game usually is that you never get to use that H-rook. So you're playing with the piece down. That's why this move is not good. That's absolutely, in my opinion, I would call that a blunder, because so many other good options are available. Although you got to be careful, because look at the speed of Horowitz development, and notice the enormous activity of his pieces all the way up into influencing and into the black territory already. It's incredible. So you have to be careful about doing this, but seriously, developing a piece would have been vastly better. In fact, developing the knight still would have been vastly better. The bishop probably hits the bishop and would realistically cause an exchange of bishops. So be it. At least you still have the castling ability. This, not so much. The bishop probably wouldn't take the knight. I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend it. But there are some tricky tactics that could come up in this situation. The ideal is block the check, and then the very next move, if at all possible, is castle the king. That would be how to play it when they bring out the bishop to check the king. Okay? That's not what he did. He moved the king. In my opinion, no. That was the wrong move. And now, white castles. Now, notice this. We see at once the rook on the file. So the pushing of the F pawn and the continuation with the thrust of the E pawn attacking the knight, getting rid of the pawn on the F file, gives the rook directly across that king a sensational half open file. Also gives him a target right there. Yeah. So realizing the dark squares have been weakened. Now that doesn't mean they're weak. This pawn still, but this is the E pawn. You don't want to leave the E pawn back just to make that F6 square strong, depending on how your opponent plays. Ideally, it's best to thrust that one forward. So that in doing so, we can immediately see the weaknesses of the dark squares. And it's true, the bishop is making up for it for now. So it's not a crisis. Just understand those are weaknesses. So nice to castle and have the rook already in action. That rook is fully developed, and man, is it in a useful spot. Nice. Okay, so we are on the road here. And so here is the second error. Now, this isn't a blunder, but it's not the move he needs to do for black. He goes pawn hunting. The bishop takes the pawn. Okay, so he does take a central advanced pawn. I agree. That's a great pawn to take, just not right now. It's too early. The downside of this is, one, you don't have that rook to play in anymore. So that means you have to double time, get the rest of your pieces in the field and active. He has no business pawn hunting without a development. That is a wrong move. This is vastly superior. Not that one, sorry. Not even that one. Good heavens. That's vastly superior. The knight would be actually superior. If the bishop or knight wants to trade it now that the pin is off, that's white's problem. Get your pieces out. Look at this partial open C file that black could have popped his rook on had he quit pawn hunting and done correct chess, right? So this particular situation that we see with black pawn hunting is just wrong. It's too early. It does not help him. Here's why. What have I been emphasizing this whole video? What can you see? Now, notice how Horowitz develops with tempo when possible. That means he develops, kablam, check, Another piece in the game. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And man, is that a beauty. Nothing can chase that bishop off. Notice, because black gave up his role to pawn hunt, he can no longer just go back without being lost. Now we see the downside. And again, utilizing those weak squares. But if you have weak squares, you can't get rid of your bishop or you will dominate them. That is good chess. I really want to emphasize that because it's such a great move. King G. So you do have a lead in development. The last, he needs to get his queen up so his rooks can connect, although his F rook is on a magnificent file. So I get it. Horowitz is also attacking, but here's the psychology. His opponent only has 2 pieces. He has 1, and they're so active. They're so well placed. 2, 3, 4. His bishops zigzagging are just incredible. So, with that in mind, he felt justified in taking the centralized knight so that now black only has 1 piece developed. It is true, Horowitz has moved his knight twice before being fully developed. Not the best strategy unless the board tells you you can. In this instance, him moving a piece a second time, he got compensation for it. Granted, it's just an exchange. I understand that. So how does he get compensation? Because he eliminates one of his opponent's developed pieces. Now, in the process, this exchange does enhance, it facilitates the development of the black queen. So he still has 2 pieces out. But had black played this correctly, he would have already had 4 or 5 pieces out. As it is, that rook's never coming out of this game. And these 3 pieces have got to wake up. Look, you're playing with over half your army without it. You can't win. That's a recipe for disaster. This is why I wanted to show you this video. This is how we can improve our chess. Do not play it like this guy did. Okay? So, and I don't mean to always overemphasize stuff, but I get excited when I see good games that are instructive. So, and once again, here we go. He is moving his knight a second time, but the F5 square is a superb square. Horowitz says, let's swap the queens. Now, he is so far ahead in development that he would be better off swapping the queens. White would, not black. If black swaps that queen, that's a disaster. But if you are so far ahead in development and you know that the king will never come out and the pawn won't either because you own that weak square, so that black may as well have had that rook off the board, you're already ahead in material. And black isn't worried about coming to the fight. He's monkeying around. So get rid of his most powerful piece in an exchange, and that once again takes off 1 piece out of the field, and he's only left with 1 versus 4. 5 now because of the file that the queens are fighting over. 5 pieces to 2. And see, you can analyze all of this in just a quick second or two. I'm taking my time showing you in a half hour to 40-minute video all of the nuances, of course. This doesn't take that much time to look at and recognize and understand the situation. If your opponent is going to develop so slowly and the board is open, so that means you should be going very, very, very fast getting your whole army out there. In a closed board, that's different. This says get the pieces out there pronto, immediately, as in right now, yesterday. He's not doing that, so you're justified in the attack. Exchange the pieces. Remember what Bobby Fischer said. Tactics flow from the superior position. This game will illustrate that fantastically, even though it was played in 1958. He doesn't want to exchange queens. He backs down. A very wise move. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, is Black really that lousy of a player? The bishop. The bishop. Come on. You're right there. Take the bishop. You got a free piece. The downside to that is checkmate. That's how seriously in trouble Black is. He has back rank checkmating problems, and he will have to deal with that this entire game, and it cripples him. What cripples him is he has to defend the back rank checkmate with his most powerful piece, and he cannot get the other part of the army into play. So Black knows he can't take that bishop. He has to guard the back rank checkmate. And Queen c5, check. That's the only thing that saved Black's bacon. Because you're saying he didn't save the back rank checkmate. The queen can come in right now. No, he got checked with the tempo. Lucky dog, lucky dog. So the king did have to move. And now he goes Queen c7. You've got to protect the d8 because the queen's coming in. So look at this. An open file, and three pieces out in the field. Two of them deadly. That is a phenomenal bishop. That thing is as strong as a queen, keeping that king in place, blocking out the rook. Okay, I'm exaggerating. Maybe not as strong as a queen, but wow, what a piece. And his buddy is coming in. And you're asking, well, why doesn't he just hurry up and take the knight? When? Notice how well Horowitz is playing forcing moves. The queen was in danger of being exchanged. You're going to lose your queen just to take a knight? No. So you had to move over. You had to go check. Well, now take the knight. You can't. You're going to face checkmate. You have to come back and guard the square. He doesn't have time. That's what makes that knight so powerful. He can just leave it there. And it is threatening some dandy stuff over here, potentially even here. So we'll see what happens. So Queen c7. So now he knows his bishop is safe. The queen can't take the bishop because it's a back rank checkmate. So now he can put the bishop on the premium place and pin that F pawn to the king. The king ain't moving anywhere. All you have to do is deliver check, and it's over. So put the bishop on a maximal active square, and there it is. Fantastic. So finally, a bishop gets to develop with tempo. Wow. Okay. Okay, now maybe white can or black can get something going. Do you see the move? If you're white, what do? Remember, tactics come from a superior position. Fisher was absolutely right. And man, does Horowitz have a superior position. Man, this is fun stuff to see what not to do as well as what to do, right? Fun stuff. Fun stuff. He does an exchange sacrifice. Logically so. Now, this is the insane logic of chess. I should have named the video The Insane Logic of Chess. You've got the rook on the open file, the partial open file. Utilize it. Kablam. Take that bishop with the rook. Fantastico! Wow! Fantastic! Now, lest you think that he can take that rook, don't even pretend he can take that rook. Because now you've got bishop here to check. He takes the bishop, and now you've got your queen up into here, and it's ugly quick. So black can't afford to open up the king. He has played this wrong. Most of his army is still back here snoozing. So this is quite serious. This is quite a serious situation for taking that. And so bishop comes to f6. Now understand that this rook, if this rook can ever come in, the queen can also come up into here and do some very interesting things if that pawn, that's the other problem. There's the other problem. If you think that's going to help, what about this? Right? Now you take the f pawn and it's going close to it is mate. So you can't afford, and all of this because of the dark square weaknesses, because of the pawn structure. Isn't that fascinating? He's in deep trouble because now it's not, you don't get in trouble from bumping the G pawn and fianchettoing the bishop. That's not where the trouble began. It wasn't weak when the bishop was here, but he went pawn hunting. That's a no-no because white immediately took over control of the G7, and black has been out to sea ever since. His king is seriously in danger. That's what I want you to know. Okay, so yeah, he's in superb shape right now. The rook takes, bishop goes to f6. So we've already seen the potential. Put the battery in, and this is the best way to set up the battery. I mean, you can do a battery with the bishop in front of the queen, which is a really effective battery. But the queen in front of the bishop is the big one because, honey, it's checkmate next move. The game is over if black doesn't do something pretty doggone quick. Look at what he does. Tactics flow from a superior position. I love that saying by Fisher, man. Okay, so e6, spectacular fork. Hit the queen and the rook. However, this is a battery with the bishop and the queen, not just the queen. If that bishop wasn't there, if it had been here, that would have been screaming for black. But the bishop is here, and the difference is immense because now you can sacrifice the queen. Sack the queen, take the pawn. Not a problem. And you go, yeah, but I don't dare. Yes, you do. You will dare after seeing this video because this shows you how to play superior chess with the tactics and the position and the energy. Well, okay, so I gave up my queen and my rook is still in danger, but the bishop comes through with check. With check. And because of the weaknesses, the dark squared bishop means the king can't move. So here we go. The queen sack, he gets the lady back. The only move that saves him is the queen, right? But wait. If tactics flow from a superior position, if you take the queen, and I mean, come on, it's a queen. That wouldn't be bad, okay? But you have something better. You know, like Emmanuel Lasker, the world champion for 30 some odd years at the turn of the last century. Fantastic chess player, one of the all-time greats. He said, look, when you find a good move, look for something better. Okay, nothing wrong with taking the queen here. I promise that's a great exchange, but you don't checkmate the king, just so you're aware of it, right? The queen is pinned. So get a bishop. Take it with the rook. Whoa, dude. Do you see it? The queen takes the bishop. And now, yes, you can take the queen with the rook, and you don't lose the rook. That's a good move, but there's a better move. Checkmate on the weak dark squares. Fantastic. Because, again, just to echo this, the fianchettoing the bishop is not an error. It is a legitimate opening. I mean, the King's Indian, that's what you use in the King's Indian all the time. And it works. It works It works against the London. It works against the Sicilian. It works against the Queen Gambit, declined or accepted, etc. So that is a valid opening, so long as the bishop keeps guard of the weakened squares. Going pawn hunting that early in the game was the error, because this guy never moved an inch once he got there, and nor should he have. That is the place to put that gorgeous bishop. So, fun game on helping us learn what to do and what not to do. How to move in some situations, how not to move in other situations. Horowitz, once again, being such a fantastic chess player, showed us that the more developed pieces toward the center and out in the field, a higher rate of development is the correct strategy. That's what I wanted to show you. And then Fischer, tactics just simply flow from the superior position, as we saw. Black, because he did not develop very well, and he never should have just moved his king out of check. That was the beginning of all of his troubles. He should have developed a piece blocking. But because of that, he had back rank checkmating problems. Always keep that in mind also. So he had back rank checkmating problems and difficulties because of the dark square weaknesses. So what a fun game. Hey, almost Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve, top of the morning to you. I might have another chess game today, and I might have a couple of them tomorrow too. I mean, what better way to spend Christmas than with my Christmas chess family and friends, and just enjoying the time together and being thankful for everything that we have and who we are. Remember, be friends, stay happy, do something good for someone. I mean, after all, that is the Christmas season, right? Jesus did something good. Let's return it, pay it forward, and do something good ourselves, right? So thank you for watching my chess videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notification button. And then that way you can hear when I get a new video on, and keep on trucking with me. Thanks, all you guys. Hope you have a great Christmas. I'll see you soon.